Hello once again, everyone. Namaste. This video is about socio-cultural influences on perception. Just a moment. So, as you all know, perception is a process of organizing, interpreting, analyzing, and integrating the different stimuli that we are exposed to. And it is a constructive process in human beings. The human mind actively constructs or makes sense of whatever is happening around us. So we go beyond the stimulus and try to find meaning in it. While interpreting the stimuli or events around us, we usually construct them in our own ways. So in this process, our motivations, expectations, cultural knowledge, past experiences, memories, values, beliefs, and attitudes play a very important role in giving meaning to the external world. So, one such influence is a socio-cultural influence, which we are going to discuss now in detail. It's not important for your exam per se, but you need to know that how society and culture can influence our perception. So, psychologists over the years have studied the process of perception in different socio-cultural settings, and the questions they tried to answer through these studies were does perceptual organization of people living in varied cultural settings happen in a uniform manner? And another question is, are perceptual processes universal, or do they vary across different cultural settings? So they are of the opinion that our ways of perceiving the world must be different in some respects. In different cultures, it could be perceived differently. So you're familiar with the Muller-Lyer illusion study and the vertical horizontal illusion. So Siegel, Campbell, and Herskowitz, they conducted a study which was a very extensive study of illusion susceptibility. So what they did, they compared samples from remote African villages and Western urban settings. And they found that African subjects showed greater susceptibility to vertical horizontal illusion, whereas Western subjects were more susceptible to the Muller-Lyer illusion. Here, the Africans overestimated verticality because they're usually living in forest environments. So they overestimated the height of the tall trees that they've been familiar with. Whereas Western subjects are usually in environments where there are a lot of right angles, and they underestimated the length of lines. Now, another thing which shows influence of society and culture is studies with respect to pictorial perception. So, in these studies, people from different cultural settings were given pictures for identification of objects and for interpretation of depth and other characteristics. So, Hudson's study revealed that the African people who were unfamiliar with pictures, found it difficult to recognize objects in pictures, and they found it difficult to interpret depth also in the pictures. A similar study was conducted in India by Sinha and Mishra. Sinha and Mishra conduct this study in diverse cultural settings, like their samples were from forests, villages, and cities. So they did this study on hunters and gatherers in forests, agriculturalists in villages, and people employed and living in cities. So they also confirmed the interpretation that um, perception strongly relates to cultural experiences. They said that exposure is very important for understanding the depicted actions and events in pictures. Those who are unfamiliar with pictures will find it difficult to understand depth cues or identify objects and events in pictures. So, the ultimate conclusion from all these studies was that perceptual habits are learned differently by all of us in different cultures, and it shows that perception is not entirely universal, but it is shaped by our environment, the experiences that we have. Therefore, perception is an active process. We are actively constructing or giving meaning to the events or stimuli that we are exposed to. With this, we come to an end of the chapter sensory, attentional, and perceptual processes. Thank you so much.